For one reason or another, the fates are seemingly conspiring against these upcoming movies and their journey to audiences, leaving it unlikely that they achieve both critical and commercial success. Perhaps there's behind-the-scenes squabbling holding up a timely production, reports of woeful test screenings, or even a general belief that the movie is just a fundamentally bad idea in its bones. Whatever the reason, the writing is on the wall that these films will fall short of the mark, assuming that some of them even get made at all. I'm Ellie for What Culture, and here are 10 upcoming movies that are already doomed. Number 10, Saw 11. After the surprising critical and commercial success of Saw X in 2023, it didn't take long for Lionsgate to greenlight a sequel, with director Kevin Greutert quickly signed up to return. And on paper, Saw 11 should have been an easy creative slam dunk, functioning as a direct sequel to Saw X, effectively another interquel set between the earlier Saw films prior to Jigsaw's demise in Saw 3. Though originally planned to release on September 27th, 2024, Saw 11 was ultimately delayed an entire year to September 26th, 2025. Yet if insider reports are anything to go by, it's also going to miss that date as well. According to reputable leaker Viewer Anon, Saw 11 is basically held up in limbo at the moment due to disagreements between the producers. Viewer Anon stressed that there weren't any creative issues with the film, but that the producers are clashing about business aspects of the production. This is especially problematic as Tobin Bell will turn 83 years old this summer, and so time is certainly of the essence to get the picture made with him starring. As shooting hasn't started yet, it's virtually impossible for Saw 11 to make its intended 2025 release date. And given that Saw movies are always released around Halloween, a best case scenario now sees Saw 11 hitting in September 2026. And that's assuming, of course, that the behind-the-scenes issues get straightened out and Bell is still healthy enough to take part, neither of which are guaranteed. Number 9, How to Train Your Dragon. Even accepting that the live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon will likely benefit from the animated trilogy's director Dean DeBlois returning to helm the new take, there seems to be a pronounced air among fans of, why bother? The trailers for the new How to Train Your Dragon certainly look extremely faithful to the source material. Enough in fact that it only further invites debate about its own necessity. The framing and dialogue in numerous scenes appears to be basically identical to its animated counterpart. And while one can argue that it would be foolish to mess with a prior success, at which point does faithfulness lurch into cynicism? Why even bother watching this one when the beloved original exists and, per its animated nature, can reach a heightened expressionistic note that the live-action one will struggle to? Between the copy-paste nature of its production and the fact that Universal likely greenlit the remake largely to promote the How to Train Your Dragon themed land at their soon-to-open Universal Epic Universe theme park, it's tough to view this as anything more than an exercise in brand reinforcement. Number 8. The Beatles Quadrilogy. It was just a matter of time before the Beatles got their own splashy big-screen biopic. Though, did anyone expect it to balloon into a 4-part cinematic franchise? Sam Mendes is imminently set to direct a quartet of Beatles films back-to-back, with one movie covering the life of each band member: Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, John Lennon, and George Harrison. Though there's clearly an audience for a Beatles film, and the casting so far seems pretty on point, with Paul Mescal as McCartney, Barry Keoghan as Starr, and Joseph Quinn as Harrison, the risks of this bold biopic quartet speak for themselves. Namely, as interested as people are in the Beatles, are they interested in 4 movies about the Beatles? More to the point, all 4 films are intended to release throughout 2027. Yet are mainstream audiences willing to open their wallets 4 times in a single year to get the entire story? Unlikely. And so it's tough to picture this project being the box office smash that Mendes and co clearly think it will be. Not to ignore the challenges of crafting compelling biopics which live up to the legacies of the group's members. Number 7, The Old Guard 2. Remember The Old Guard? Netflix's Charlize Theron-led superhero action flick landed on the streaming platform in 2020 to decent reviews and was watched by 78 million households during its first month on release. And yet, as is so often the problem with direct-to-streaming blockbusters, it had precious little cultural impact. Even so, its success ensured that Netflix commissioned a sequel, which has had something of an eyebrow-raising journey to the big screen. The Old Guard 2 completed shooting in September 2022. A hell of a long time ago, even for Netflix's unrushed standards. As it turns out, the sequel's release was ultimately delayed due to post-production being temporarily shut down and a regime change at Netflix, according to Theron herself. This perhaps suggests that there wasn't much internal confidence in the project, even though Theron insists that she was never concerned about the film being shelved. All the same, Netflix probably needed to strike while the iron was hot with this one. And given that The Old Guard 2 will ultimately be releasing 5 years after the original, will anyone even remember that they saw it? Number 6. Blade. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has clearly struggled to maintain relevance and consistent quality since Avengers Endgame closed the book on the Infinity Saga, and the single most embattled project in its upcoming slate is unquestionably the Blade reboot. Blade was first confirmed at San Diego Comic-Con in 2019, mere months after Endgame's release, with Mahershala Ali confirmed to star as the Daywalker. Ali made an off-screen cameo as the character in Eternals back in 2021, and well over 3 years later, Blade's solo movie still hasn't started filming. Over the years, Blade has passed through the hands of many writers and directors, with reports suggesting that Marvel and Ali have struggled to settle on a script worth shooting. Planned start dates have shifted numerous times, while last year its intended November 7th, 2025 release date went up in smoke, currently leaving the film undated. There are many fans who flat out believe that Blade will simply never get made, at least not in this iteration. But even if it does, Ali will be well into his 50s by the time it starts shooting, around a full decade older than Wesley Snipes was when his original Blade trilogy ended. The fact that this picture is a perennial entry on lists like this is merely a testament to how long Marvel has been kicking the can down the road. And honestly, it might be better to just leave it be. Number 5, A Big Bold Beautiful Journey. A Big Bold Beautiful Journey is the latest film from Kogonada, a romantic fantasy drama starring Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell as two strangers who embark on an extraordinary journey together. Details beyond this remain vague. Yet between the star wattage of its two leads and the rising filmmaker at the helm, this one certainly has a ton of potential, in theory at least. However, a number of red flags have gone up over the last few months. For starters, it's set to release on May 9th, and we still don't have a trailer, nor even a single official image from the movie. This release date also comes a few days before the Cannes Film Festival, a previously speculated about premiere destination for the film, which prevents it from screening at the fest and perhaps suggests that Sony doesn't have much faith in the picture as a buzzy festival hit. This would track given that Sony has reportedly test screened the film 3 times to mixed results. And though they mulled over releasing it late last year to crush the Oscars, the studio ultimately decided against it. Given the talent involved, it would certainly be great to see A Big Bold Beautiful Journey defy the odds, though the writing on the wall isn't encouraging at all right now. Number 4, Bond 26. After Daniel Craig's era of James Bond movies wrapped up with No Time to Die in 2021, it was assumed that producers Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli would wait a year or two and then start ramping up production for the next rebooted iteration of 007. Yet, per a recent report from the Wall Street Journal, Bond 26 is basically no closer to happening than it was almost 3.5 years ago when No Time to Die was released. Producer Broccoli, who has the final say on the Bond IP, is apparently at odds with MGM's new owner Amazon, which is keen to expand the world of James Bond into a wider, wait for it, cinematic universe with TV shows and spin-off movies. Broccoli, meanwhile, remains adamant that Bond should remain an exclusive big-screen event which audiences turn up for every few years, leaving development of a new film at an impasse. At present, Bond 26 is said to have no story, script, or actor hired to play the part, making it increasingly likely that it will break the record for the longest gap between Bond films, which is currently held by the 6 years and 4 months between 1989's License to Kill and 1995's GoldenEye. Even if shooting started tomorrow, Bond 26 probably wouldn't release until mid to late 2026, roughly 5 years after No Time to Die came out, and an entire 7 years after Daniel Craig wrapped filming it, given that the pandemic delayed its release by 18 months. Then again, would it surprise anyone if the new Bond film simply remained locked in developmental limbo for the foreseeable future? Hi, sorry, me again. What are the chances that the day that I record this video is the day that an update happens with regards to Amazon and the James Bond franchise? So, as you will all know at this point, Amazon now have full creative control over the Bond franchise. But the point still stands, it's still going to be a very long time before any new film is actually released. It just means that some progress has now been made. Number 3, Kiss of the Spider-Woman. The new Jennifer Lopez starring adaptation of hit musical Kiss of the Spider-Woman had its premiere at the Sundance Film Festival back in January. And though reviews were largely favourable, it's failed to secure itself a distributor in the months since debuting. Given the regard held for the source material, Lopez's starring presence and solid reviews, it was expected that the project would be quickly acquired by the end of Sundance, if not soon thereafter, as is the standard for buzzy titles starring name actors. Still, many weeks after its premiere, Bill Condon's film is nowhere closer to having a home for its US release, a concerning sign of its future prospects. There are a few things worth speculating on here. Firstly, the good but not great reviews likely suggest that Kiss of the Spider-Woman isn't the splashy awards contender many were expecting, which instantly makes it less attractive to major distributors. Then there's Lopez's declining popularity in recent times, with the cancellation of her recent summer tour due to poor ticket sales possibly further spooking studios. On top of this, movie musicals not called Wicked are a tough sell with mainstream audiences these days. Though Kiss of the Spider-Woman will certainly find a home eventually, don't be shocked if it's given a quiet, cursory theatrical release before bowing unceremoniously on streaming, or even gets directly picked up by a streamer like Netflix or Amazon. Number 2, Michael. Even accepting the pop icon's controversies, a safe-playing Michael Jackson biopic should be an easy box office smash, given the late musician's enduring popularity around the globe. But the Antoine Fuqua directed biopic, which completed filming last May, hit a major stumbling block recently when it was revealed that the majority of the film's third act will be scrapped and reshot due to a legal oversight. The final third of Michael originally delved into the sexual abuse allegations leveled against Jackson in 1993. But the Jackson estate neglected to inform the production that they had signed an agreement with the accuser's family to never feature them in a dramatic retelling of the singer's life. So the bulk of Michael's third reel has to be tossed out and reworked, evidently at great cost to Lionsgate, making it likely that the film will miss its awards-primed October 3rd release date. Even beyond this though, this picture is basically a lose-lose situation regarding Jackson's abuse allegations. If it ignores them, the filmmakers will be accused of whitewashing the singer's contentious history. But at the same time, is an estate-endorsed biopic ever going to do anything but rubbish the claims anyway? Number 1, The Goonies 2. Some movies, and especially some sequels, just feel like fate is conspiring against their existence. And that is most certainly the case with The Goonies 2. That said, the long-gestating follow-up to Richard Donner's beloved 1985 adventure classic was recently confirmed to be happening apparently once and for all. Pozzi Ponsiroli has been hired to write the script, while Steven Spielberg, who conceived the story for the original film, will return as a producer. Though original cast members Josh Brolin, Sean Astin, Corey Feldman, and Ke Quan have recently expressed enthusiasm for a Goonies sequel, this is certainly a case where it feels like the ship for a good Goonies 2 sailed a long time ago. Even ignoring how few genuinely good 40 years later sequels there actually are, the fact that original director Richard Donner died in 2021 near guarantees that this new movie will struggle to recapture the original's inimitable vision and vibe. Given that even many fans of the original are expressing their mixed feelings about a sequel existing at all, Goonies 2 faces one hell of an uphill struggle to win everyone over.